Hey, it's Logan here. I just wanted to make a video and make a case for the unfun decks in Commander. I think now more than any time before in Commander that we need those decks that people don't find fun, whether it be stacks, death and taxes, control. I think we should stop discouraging people from playing those decks. I'm not advocating for people sitting there and making the game go 3 hours long, or just completely locking people out and not finishing the game off. That's not fun. And I've been in those situations, so that's not what I'm going to advocate for. But I think between, like, the Dockside Extortionist, all the super fast mana, ramp, like Jessica's Will and stuff, we need players playing stuff that can help control that. And those type of players, and I've seen it in different Discord servers, and I've seen it, in playgroups at my LGS, where, we know the guy who plays control, and like, hey, don't play that deck, play something else, please. And we're kind of like stifling their fun in favor of ours. And I get Commander as a four-player, like, not cooperative, like kind of like a party game. We're all trying to have fun, trying to play what we want to play and do what we want to do. And I think kind of like telling that guy, hey, you can't play that is a little unfair. And I get it if they're just playing a deck that's just trolling, or like I said, there's decks that make games go for 3 hours, and you're sitting there locking people out of the game. You're like, I'm gonna draw 10 cards. Okay, I got nothing. I'll pass. I'm gonna draw 10 more cards. I got nothing. Pass. And no one's doing anything, and he's not ending the game. So, I could see that. Like I said, I've been in games where like that, and it's not fun. And that's not the kind of decks, I guess, that I'm advocating for. Even though when I do say stacks, control, and all that stuff, that would imply that's what I'm advocating for. But I think people can build those types of decks in a way where it's not completely oppressive and just stifles all the really crazy stuff going in Commander right now, and it can kind of help control the game. Like, I have a Lavinia deck. It does have some lockout stuff in the game, but once I lock people out of the game's over. Like, you can't win, so we scoop up and start another game. But Lavinia slows down all that fast mana, and I do have control pieces in there, and it's not the few times I've played it, at least, it hasn't seemed oppressive. It's slow people down, do stuff. I still put, like, attack win cons in there because I love attacking, so I got big beaters in there. That's kind of how one of the ways I win, on top of locking the game down and just ending it immediately. So that's kind of what I would prefer. And just things to handle, because I've seen games where, like, with Dockside Extortionist, even if you just play it once, the value you get from it is ridiculous. And then you got the facts where you can bounce it multiple times, reanimate it. And a lot of people, like, people have the way we build decks based off how, like, the big creators have shaped this format or helped shape the format is a bunch of single target removal, mass removal, depending on if you're playing control or like blue, counter spells. But just simple removal isn't going to stop the dockside. You're going to get the dockside out and you're going to kill it. It already did its damage. And then, like I said, you could bounce it in response and all this crazy stuff. So I think that we need to be less harsh on those people who play those types of decks that we find unfun, because at this point, I think in where Commander's at, because when I started 5 years ago, no one really had answers for that, or at least, people built decks in a way that couldn't really answer that. It would really be unfun. But now I think people have built decks in the normal Commander level where we have answers for those stacks types decks or control decks, and we can kind of play on more fair ground with them. And I'm not, and definitely don't play those types of decks against, like, pre-con level or below, because that will definitely kill the fun there. But I think in the normal, whatever that is, Commander level that we all kind of play at, I think people have built decks in a way, and there is enough answers to stop that. Now, I know there's a few, combos or pieces that will completely lock people out of the game, so can't really do much about that. But if someone locks you out of the game, can present like, hey, I'm going to win because I have XYZ in my hand, or I'm doing this, you could scoop up and start over. So I don't think those types of decks are going to be as bad as they used to be when they were super stigmatized. but I think people should start playing those more or putting those kind of pieces in their decks now to help slow down those really fast decks that play Dockside Sorceress, all those crazy cards, to kind of make it more fun because I don't know. It's like you can play stacks and people don't find that fun. And you can be like, okay, not enjoyable. Or you can just sit there and go, okay, this guy's looping Dockside Sorceress or he's doing some crazy stuff that we can't stop even with a kill spell. So, um, I think if we play both of them, we can kind of even it out and kind of bring Commander back into I don't want to say slower format because there's no really going back to slower, but we actually have answers now, and it feels like people aren't really playing those answers. And off the top of my head, I can't think of anything specifically. Except I do play Lavinia deck that does slow things down in terms of like her herself. You can't cast non-creature spells with higher converted mana cost than the amount of land you have. So that basically nicks like Dockside and Jessica's Will in the butt right there, except for they can still cast big creatures, but that definitely slows stuff like that down. So I would like to see more pieces like that or people playing those decks in a way where it's not super oppressive, but it still does its job and can kind of control the board a little bit. And I know it's kind of hard to play control and stacks and still have fun. You can do it. It's kind of hard, and people are gonna get salty anyway. So I know kind of like feels like I'm rambling a little bit, but I just feel like seeing all this discourse about Commander being too fast, and then like the guys at Command Zone are really like speeding up the format when they're saying efficiency, and then Wizards building all these crazy Commander cards that are super broken, and then it feels like there's no answers to it, which there are, just people don't want to build the type of deck because of how stigmatized it is, and people don't want to play against it. And I've seen, like I said, I've seen on my LGS where people are like, oh, I don't want to play against that deck, because it's not fun. And sometimes the decks are a little too far stacksy and unfunny. Where, like I said, I'm sitting there like, okay, I'll untap one land, draw a card. Oh, look, I could destroy that counterspell. Okay, we're not going to sit here for another 3 hours. And there's always, because it has that small glimmer of hope where you can break free, but then, like, you really can't because the guy's drawing, like, 10,000 cards a turn, and you're sitting there drawing one card, untapping one land. So, like, there's still hope that you can, but not really. And you sit there for 3 hours with the guys fishing for a win con. So, again, that's not the type of play style I'm advocating for, but I am advocating for decks that can slow things down and stop these crazy spells. And I think we should let people play those more and to be a little less, aggressive when we see that kind of stuff. Because I think it would be healthy for the format to help bring those decks in and then stop that kind of stuff going on so we can all play and try to, like, not get blown out on turn 3 by some random Dockside Sorceress into some big combo or something. And that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I mean, like I said, I don't really have any specifics. Like I said, I've thought about it here and there, but I don't have any specifics. I'd have to really go in and look for cards and deck styles to really fit what I'm looking for. But I know they're out there, and I have played against them where they played controlling, and it's been fun, where they've been kind of policing a little bit, but it hasn't been overly oppressive. Like, you gotta, be mindful of what's going on and actually put some strategy into just slamming stuff down. And that's kind of games I do like to play where you have to think, okay, this guy's got something, I can do this, instead of just like, okay, I'm going to play this, skip, dockside, bounce, you lose. And it's like, okay. I mean, at least you get to start a new game, but I don't know, it's always, I mean, no matter what, there's always going to be feels bad, I guess. It doesn't really ever upset me or anger me. I've gotten past that point in my Commander career where I'm like, okay, you won, cool. But like I said, I think we all, mostly adults play this, so I think we all can kind of like, work together, you would think, and be like, okay, let's all try to have fun. We can all play what decks we want, and we can help diversify the format so we can have fun and do what we want. But I keep rambling, so I'm going to stop it there. I think I got the majority of what I wanted to get out, so I think that's what I'm going to try to work towards too, is trying to build those kind of decks where they're still fun, but they can kind of help slow things down and see how it goes. Like I said, I played Lavinia. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and it has done its job, but I need to get more tests. Like I said, a lot of people don't like playing against. They see Lavinia, they don't want to play against it because they think, crazy stuff. So it's kind of hard to get into playgroups, but I'm trying. But yeah, other than that, if you have any thoughts on what I said, or the format or how commanders go, and just let me know, and have a good day.